This week on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
That's
what did you just say to me?
Everybody's
you just said
back.
what did you just say to me?
I said you've all gone back.
And I've gone back?
Everybody's
I'm done with you.
No. Bye, Mary.
Oh, God. I'm not going to be mad at Lisa.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be recapping the new episode of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 6, Episode 5. Let's get right into it. Alright, so the episode opens up with Whitney and Justin in their home. Whitney's really become irrelevant in the show at this point. I kind of feel bad, but she is planning an event for the whole cast to attend. She is like singing this little funny country song at the beginning, and she has a man go hand deliver a nice bouquet of flowers to each of the women. You know, I can appreciate a nice little creative invitation rather than just like a simple text message. So she does that. And the crazy part is that literally the next scene, we see like the event. You know, so we literally saw Whitney organizing it, the invitations going out, and then like 1 minute later, it's the day of the event. So the entire episode was pretty much the event, which will make sense as we get into it. So it was a nice place. It looked like a park. It low-key looked like the place that Jenny Gwen had her like Vietnamese lunch or something. I might be wrong, but it might be that place. I'm not sure. Mary says that the owner of this place took his own life on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Listen, Mary be having the most unhinged stories that time. I mean, I remember when she told Whitney's daughter that one of the members of her church fell off a cliff or something. I remember she said her dad was around Jeffrey Dahmer. And now this, crazy stories. So the women begin to arrive. The theme is like floral. So lots of flowers. And as you can expect, you know, Bronwyn came in with like an over-the-top, colorful costume outfit, which I have learned to appreciate when it comes to Bronwyn. Meredith came in with like this gray type of thing that it appeared to be like flower petals. It was like white and gray. Mary said that it looked like a virus. So then when Lisa arrives, I didn't know, like, listen, I knew there was going to be drama because she came in with like envelopes and I was like, oh boy. So Whitney says to them, thank you all for coming. She says that she was looking at pictures of her old self, like from 2011, and she says that she was a totally different person. She was a wild person, more like a wild spirit, she said. And she says that she had to change because of when Justin lost his job. Because remember, they said that when they filmed that like sexual scene, that's what made him lose his job, which I don't really know if that's all not necessarily true, to be honest, but that's what she says. So let's just take it for what it's worth. So she says that's why he lost his job, so she had to sort of change herself. But the crazy part, she says, is that even though she became a little bit more different, at the end of the day she still lost it all. So why not go back to being her authentic self? It was kind of sweet, you know, kind of sad when she said it, but she said that. And then she says, I want to go back to what's meaningful and start here, having wine with my friends in the beautiful scenery that we call home. She also says that she has a surprise guest all the way from New York, a spiritual intuitive healer. I should become one of these damn coaches or healers or psychics because they seem to be in high demand when it comes to the Real Housewives. But first, they're going to have a tasting. So they had some interesting choices of wines and some food, some tartare and things like that. Angie says that she would love to be in a place similar, like being out here, seeing all the land. She would love to have a home where they have lots of land, maybe a farm or like a place where they could have animals and things like that. So then Britney says to her, are you selling your house? And Angie says, yes, it's actually been on the market for a minute now. Britney then pulls out her phone and Googles it, and she's like, oh, there was a price adjustment. That's not good. And then she says to Angie, why didn't you reach out to me about listing your house? I'm an agent. You know that. And then Angie says, well, my godson's mother is my agent. I mean, Britney, I just met you. Britney never fails to disappoint me with her dumb comments. And then she starts to be shady. She's like, well, it's been in the market for over 200 days. And then they start to... Angie's like, well, yeah, because I live in one of the most prestigious zip codes. Of course, it's going to take a long time to sell. Then they all start to throw out these zip codes and trying to one-up each other on which one is more prestigious. South Jordan, Highland, Alpine, Draper, Park City. I have no idea. Britney says, like, well, you should have priced it correctly, not overpriced it, so that way you would have had a lot of offers right away. To which Angie says, you don't get a lot of offers when you're selling a home for $4.5 million. You're effing clueless. Britney says, it's my profession. Don't insult what I do. And then Angie's like, well, then don't insult my house. The fight then gets interrupted because Britney says, oh, Jared's calling me. And Whitney says, you broke up with him, right? Because remember, her and Britney had just had that conversation in last week's episode about her not seeing him for the sake of her daughters. And what I told you all would happen happened. She forgot about it. Of course, she's back with him. But here's the tea. So a few days ago, Jared actually went over to Whitney's house to talk to Justin. And Jared told Justin that one of the things that he didn't like or doesn't like is that he feels like Britney gets back with him when she wants a vacation or a gift. Whoa, kind of insinuating that she is after him for his money. And Britney's like, that is not okay. He's talking about me with your husband. And then she begins to cry. And then it's crazy because as she's crying, the wind knocks over this big flower arrangement that was in the back. And then they go pick it up and then it falls and breaks again. It was just crazy. But at this point, the sidekick guy is ready to make his readings. His name is Terrence. So Britney goes first. So she goes in there, he draws the cards, those fortune-telling type of cards, and he starts to ask her about her daughters. And he says, there appears to be a lack of communication. And then Britney's over here saying, oh my God, like, I have goosebumps. Like, she couldn't believe that he would know this because who would know about this? He must be so legit. Meanwhile, they show flashbacks of last season where she talked about this exact issue like 10 times. So back at the table, Meredith says, well, I have some concerns. She says, as you all know, Lisa and I have this friendship, and we made a commitment that when stuff was brought up, we would be direct. In that vein, Lisa, I have an issue that I need to ask you about. I need to know if you were trying to spread negative rumors about my family. Lisa says no. She says, even last year I worked very hard to be a better friend to you. I don't know what this is about, but Satan looks like she might. She was talking about Angie. Angie's like, I'm not Satan. I don't do my work in the dark. Lisa is denying this. She says, I've been very upfront with Meredith, and you try and go behind my back to ruin my relationships by being nasty. You're a bully. And then Angie says, that's not true. I've never said anything that hasn't been factual. Lisa says, well, you talked very crappy about my kids, about their brand. Meredith says, please don't not go there with the kids. Stop being low. Now, I will agree with Heather, because Heather reacts in her confessional and says that Meredith seems to sort of be overlooking this. Maybe, I don't know what it is. Maybe she's over the show, or I don't know what it is, because she didn't seem to be as mad as she normally would have about a rumor. Anyway, Angie says to Lisa, well, when we left your event, you had me thinking that we were okay, that we were friends, and then you sent somebody to pick up your products. Lisa's like, I was being nice. I sent my friend Sage. You were the one that was rude and said to her that the products were dusty. Anyway, so then they call Bronwyn to go to her reading. He says that the brain card keeps coming up. And she's like, well, my mom had surgery in December. And he says that there's another procedure that he sees coming up that she seems to be ignoring. So she needs to like see another specialist, and there's only a certain percentage of recovery, but there is life. So Bronwyn sort of takes this as like, we've been so worried about my dad, and I kind of like have just assumed that mom's okay, but maybe I should be a little bit more concerned about that. And he also says to Bronwyn that she needs to make peace with her relationship with her mom and sort of let things go. Okay, so back to the table. Angie sort of explaining to everybody what happened. So she pulls out the text message where Lisa said to her, oh, you ask people to pay for your trips. So Angie, I'm sorry, I love Angie. She pulls out her wallet and she says, this is my company card, bitch. And this is a Black American Express. And here's another one. And here's a third one. And here's my American Express Prada bracelet. And she was like throwing them as she took them out. And then Mary was like, don't throw that at the floor, girl. Put these in your purse. I agree with Mary. Why are you throwing this? But Angie is heated. Her and Lisa are going at it. Lisa says, you dish it, you can't take it. And Angie says, shut your mouth. I'm going to come over there and pull your ears farther than they've been pulled by your facelift. You look like you've been in a wind tunnel. And then Lisa got so triggered and she starts calling her shorty. You're short. I'm 3 inches taller than you. Now, Lisa, y'all are about the same height, first of all. And the one thing I'll give to Angie, even though people say she can be really mean, which I can sort of agree, but I gotta give her credit because she's always very creative with her shade. Calling somebody shorty, really, Lisa? Like, we need to come up with some good reads for you. Anyway, now they're going at it, and as usual, Lisa is screaming like crazy, and Angie just won't stop. That's kind of how they get when they start arguing. Bronwyn then comes back from her reading in tears, and Meredith has to scream. She's like, you guys, stop it for a minute. And then Bronwyn shares, what was just said to her. And she talks a little bit more about her mom and her dad and all of that. And it was actually crazy because all the women go and embrace Bronwyn. They give her a hug. They tell her that it's going to be okay. Meanwhile, these two are still going at it like crazy at the table. You can leave. You're nasty. Why did you send me the text? Well, you send it first. You're a bitch. You're evil. And then Angie even calls her the C word. I mean, I can't. Heather got her reading. It was about like taking back her power and whatnot. Nothing really that important. So then Whitney has to hold Angie, and she's trying to like dissolve the animosity. And Angie, as Whitney is pulling her away, she says to Lisa, grab my card and go to Nordstrom and use it. And then Lisa says, I don't shop there, but you do. Angie says, you don't shop there, but your boyfriend does. And then Lisa says, what about the soup man, bitch? Huh? What does that mean? What is the soup man? I don't get that reference. I don't get it. And as you can see in this picture here, Whitney did take Angie a little bit away from the table, but Lisa went back there to keep on bickering. So Angie says, why are you saying that I'm using somebody else's credit card? And Lisa says, well, I believe that you went on a trip to Greece who somebody paid for, and you had to pay it back. And Whitney says, Lisa, if you're claiming that Angie took somebody's card to pay for something, how is that any different than what they're accusing you of that you don't want us to talk about? But none of them are listening. And it's crazy because even though Whitney is trying to defend Angie still won't be quiet. It's like, girl, she's defending you. Lisa then goes to get her reading, and Terrence tells her that her and her husband's relationship like isn't that great right now. Like it's almost like they're on two different paths. And when he says it, she immediately starts to choke up. And he says that they're great, but they're almost like in two different pages. Like they're not in sync. And she says that's true. To be honest, though, as a viewer, it's never looked like they've really been on sync ever. It doesn't necessarily look like they have a horrible marriage, like a tumultuous, volatile marriage, but it's never looked like they've been on one accord, like they've been one. It's kind of weird. So back at the table, they're telling Angie that she needs to calm down. And Angie says that she's done with Lisa and what she's done. And then Mary does snap at her and says, yeah, Angie, but when she was doing that to other people, you were okay with her doing it. Anyway, but then Angie goes to do her reading, and Terrence says, why do I keep seeing a product? And Angie says that she got chills because nobody knows this but her family. She is developing a line of sunglasses. He also predicts an injury on an animal, like maybe a horse, which her daughter does ride. When she heads back, guess what happened? Her and Lisa start to go at it again, screaming and yelling. It's too much. Lisa keeps saying that Angie is jealous of her. And then Mary goes to give Lisa a little pep talk. And she's like, calm down, Lisa. Like, if you are, you want to calm down, be the light. Don't go low. Don't scream. Calm down. So Meredith goes to get her reading. But then Angie goes into the room because they were doing the reading in like a little room. So Angie goes into that room. And during Meredith's reading and grabs this big plastic box and carries it back outside. And I cannot believe this. It is a box full of gifts that Lisa had given Angie in the past, which clearly some of the things she never really even wanted because some of them weren't even open, but there was like a bottle of the Vita tequila and even a little toy horse that Lisa gave Electra. Lisa thinks that the reason Angie really is mad comes down to her brand deal with that hair shampoo, whatever, however you pronounce it. So that was crazy. She was giving back these gifts. Also, during Whitney's card reading, she cried and opened up about some of the resentment that she secretly has with Justin over him not fully supporting her, which she kind of feels. She feels it, right? She feels the resentment, but at the same time, she doesn't feel like she's in a place, or they're in a place right now where that's really like almost even fair to bring up, which I totally get. And he also says that there's a snake in the group or in her friendship that they need to get rid of. Anyway, Lisa leaves. She had enough, so she left, and then she walks into the room as Whitney's having her reading. So she leaves. When Lisa left, Angie kind of goes off on everybody, and she says, you all want me to just take it, and I'm sick of it. I'm not going to get bullied. She's degrading me, trying to make me look bad. I don't even know anybody that sells soup. I will not kiss her ass. So then Mary goes up to her and says, Angie, we don't care what she has to say. We know better, so stop. It's not that deep. Let it go. And then Angie says, I'm strong and I'm not going back to that friendship. You've gone back and you've gone back and all of y'all have gone back, but I'm not going back. And then Mary says, what did you say to me? And Angie says that you've all gone back to her. She said horrible things about y'all. Y'all have still gone back. And Mary says that I've gone back? I'm done with you. So then Mary grabs her purse and she walks out. And then also, Angie was so mad that she caught that little horse and throws it, and the little leg broke off, which it was kind of funny. Mary was like, I guess that the prediction came true. It was just a different type of horse. But Mary left. She was very upset and drove off. And that was the end of the episode. Oof. What an episode full of drama. But at the same time, though, it got a little annoying with Angie and Lisa because they just keep going in circles and circles and circles and in circles. When it comes to Mary, I understand her kind of going off on Angie, even though I love Angie, but I do get it. But you guys, let me know what your thoughts and opinions were about this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. You'll have a great one. Bye.